Well, hello everyone. How's it going? So we're back Tuesday nights for now. As long as everything goes the way we plan, it will still be here. So interesting. I did check my hives today. It's been probably since July since I put out maybe the end of June. End of June since I put Appy tablets on the colony. And now, guess what? Hive beetles. So I did a lot of smashing today, and I put a little bit of pollen sub on them, about a half a pound a piece, and working towards getting them, fed up and ready for the winter, our mild winter here. But everything seems to be going pretty good. I need to put the Appy tablets on them. I didn't carry any out with me. If you haven't seen Flower Street Farms short videos today on what he's seeing with his Appy tablets, I encourage you to go take a look. Looks like they're doing pretty well over there. So anyway, it's a little bit different because I don't have anybody right now in the back room that I can just bounce things off of. So I've already got the link right up there. If you want to join, please feel free. You know, Joey, somebody, anybody wants to join, go ahead and click that link and come on in. I think Todd said he's going to join us for a little while. And Brad is at his bee club meeting tonight. So other than that, I've sold 5 pounds of honey today. What else? I got a call about a job that I'm supposed to go, I think, this Saturday to do a ride along with the person to see if it's something that I want to do. I've done the job in the past, so it's not like a new thing for me. But until that happens, I'm not going to really disclose what it is. But it could affect some of the scheduling on live streams. But I'll let you know that when things come out, if they come out. Let's see. I'm pretty close to naming a winner. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully it's working now. The Oh, you found me again. All right, so it'll probably click off again if it hadn't done it twice, because it did it twice. So, hey, good to see everybody. Mark Miller, Larry Gandy, DC, Mike Tangway, Joey, DNN Apiaries. Hey, Dan. Yeah, I know. Darren, good to see you. Yeah, it just popped me out for some reason. I don't know. Hey, Lisa, good to see you. Glad to see you had a good time on your trip. There's Joey. Hey, Joey.
Hey.
Man, I don't know what happened. The doggone internet just all of a sudden said, oops, and I was out. And then I came back in.
It was about to load up when I tried to go in, and it went out. I said, Bob done kicked me out.
No, the whole thing just kind of died.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with it, but how you been?
Pretty good.
Good.
Trying to get that light off the top of my head.
You have to start putting some makeup down there to keep the shine off of it.
I'm the only person to get sunburned by LED.
Well, have you been doing anything in your bees at all?
I have not. I've been fooling with melting wax mostly last couple of days.
How's your hive beetle situation been down there this year?
It hadn't been too bad except for 2 colonies. And we had this conversation somewhere before, but I don't have a real big issue with them. With most of mine, they're out in the sun. And I've got 2 that stay in the shade a big part of the morning. And actually the one that's on that little porch of my pump house stays longer, and they have more hive beetles. Now, the conversation we had in the past was it's not that the hives are getting too hot for the beetles. It's just the earth around those hives have less sun on them.
So it's wetter all the time.
Yeah, they're able to be more of a brood or a nursery for hive beetles.
I've got so when Appy tablets are actively on my colonies, I haven't noticed that many. As soon as they're gone, like I've been out of town, right? So and it's been since the end of June since I had the Appy tablets in. Well, now I went back in today, lots of hive beetles. So I need to go back. I was banging and smashing, right? The old technique of getting rid of hive beetles. Just crush them. I was doing a lot of that today. So probably tomorrow I'll go back out with some Appy tablets and drop them in and go ahead and, go ahead and try to run them out what's left. And hopefully it's not, well, it didn't look like it was too late. There's good population of bees in most of those. And hopefully they can protect that half a pound of pollen supplement I put in there. And I never usually give them pollen supplement this time of the year, but when I did a couple frame inspections, they look kind of light on pollen, so I went ahead and dropped some of that in there. Plus, I've seen, especially up in Canada, right, like Ian and Brad and all those guys, when they pull the honey, they slap a pollen patty in there right away. And I don't typically do that because of beetles, but going to try it this year and see how it works out. Let me see. 6+ frames of bees. That's good. 3 p.m. But yeah, not a whole heck of a lot going on bee wise, really right now. So, it's not a bee chat without bee work is kind of, because you can't really talk about what you're seeing in the colonies too much, right? So, all my colonies were pretty well. They were calm until I got to my last row. In the last 2 colonies I checked, they were pretty spicy, but everybody else was all calm and gentle. Let's see.
Yeah. About all I do now is every other day, if I'm not in a hurry when I leave, I'll go by my main yard and do a little drive through just to make sure bees are make sure there's not a robbing going on. Of course, if there were, I couldn't do much about it, but see bees everywhere.
Let me see. I need to, someone, who was it? Dean asked about the out yard. I've been meaning to go out there. I'm going tomorrow and work those tomorrow. So we'll check them out. But the last time I was there, they looked pretty good. But, you know, that can change relatively quickly, right? They can go from looking real good to not so good very quickly around here. The let me see. Even with pollen coming in, they ate it up. Okay, so hopefully they tear up the pollen supplement before the beetles can get to it. That's why I only did a half patty in them today. And then I've got 50 pounds of Mega Bee out there. So the next, I won't buy a box. I'll just mix some patty up.
When you're putting them on, are you taking the paper off of them?
No, I typically leave it on.
Leave it sandwiched.
So the beetles can't get to it as easily, right? That's the idea anyway. It doesn't seem to matter too much. When I make them myself, I put them in a Ziploc bag, and then I just score the Ziploc bag so they can get to it. And then the beetles can't get into it until the bees have eaten the patty way down. And then if the beetles do get in it, then the larva gets trapped in the bag and they can't get out. So it works pretty well.
Yeah, I was telling somebody just a few days ago, they was telling me they was putting patties on. I said, you better be careful. He said he was putting halves and he was leaving. I guess he bought them because he was leaving the paper on top and bottom. That's what I told him to do. You know, I've never fed a patty.
The jury is really out for me on those, of whether it does anything for them. I think if they don't have anything in the hive and the nurse bees come up, they'll eat it, right? But if not, then you know, you're probably just maybe wasting money, because if they've got it in there, I'm sure they prefer the natural pollen more than the supplement.
I reckon if they take it, they probably needed it.
Right.
Kind of like sugar water. I've fed very little pollen sub, just in like a feeder or whatever. I did it one year to make the video on how to make the little pipe, 4-inch pipe.
Right.
Feeders. I did a video on that a few years ago, and I bought the bucket of pollen, and I used it that one year for just a little while, and it stayed sitting in this honey house for about 2 years. And I gave it to Mike Berry. He uses it, so I gave it to him.
I've got one out there. I probably need to I need to wash it out first, because there's like some clumped up stuff in there from rain and stuff that got in there somehow, or water, but it needs to be washed out. And then I need to, of course, let it dry and then fill it back.
Yeah, I thought about even taking mine and give them away to somebody. Hey,
Alex, how's it going?
God.
You get your
down multiple times. So far, $2,500 in repairs. I damaged my thumb, so I basically can't use it. Let's see. Rain prevented me from accessing the basswood apiary because it's a mud trap. But I did manage to completely pull the strawberry apiary.
So, how much honey do you think you have so far?
The strawberry apiary gave me 15 supers, but the basswood has a lot more, a whole lot more. Now it finally stopped raining. My car works. Oh, and but I haven't treated yet because the honey's still there, and we're on the first week of September. So I might have to buy a batch of Formix so it finishes on time.
Right. Well, sounds like you've had a lot going on in life in general. and now you get to pull. Well, Brad just pulled his honey, so you should be okay. I mean, he just pulled it day before yesterday. He finished it up, so, or at least one. He said he's got 300 supers in his honey house to spin out. So he's got a lot of honey to pull. I'm gonna have to start throwing some feed on them to get them going.
And strawberry honey is something else, man. I can see what they meant by like the caramel taste, but it does have it's kind of a blend of caramel and strawberries, and it's unbelievably sweet, like sweet.
Well, speaking of sweet, I'm gonna try 2 new flavors of creamed honey. Chocolate donut and buttery cinnamon roll.
Ooh.
So my daughter bought me these flavorings. So she said, "Dad, this might be good in some honey." And I said, "Oh, we'll try it out and see what happens. Worst that can happen is it sits in my refrigerator like the other ones that are sitting there right now." But honey's starting to pick up. I did have a little fender bender today in the bank parking lot. Just what's a good way to show this? Now, the funny part about this is both of our vehicles have backup cameras. Both of our vehicles have the warning sensors that tell you, dee, 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 right, that you're going to hit something, but it didn't. So we were both parked like this, and we both went to back out at the same time like that. He was in an F-150 and I was in the Bronco, and his passenger rear and my driver rear just boop, just a little bit. No damage to my car, broke his tail light, which I don't even know how that's even possible, but it did happen. And so we waited around for the troopers for like an hour in the parking lot, and they never showed up. And the trooper called me, says, "Oh, I'm across the street working an accident, and then I'm coming over there. Or you guys can just exchange information." And I said, "Well, let me see how much that tail light is." Oh, $170 on Amazon. So I said, "I'll tell you what, I ordered the tail light on Amazon. I said, it'll be at my house on Thursday. Here's my phone number. Here's verification that I ordered it." And he said, "Okay, I'll have my cousin put it in." I said, "Perfect." So neither one of us have to report it to the insurance to say, get that increase for having a little tiny fender bender. But it was weird because neither one of the collision alarms went off.
I had something similar happen to me. Like the first year I got my car, I backed into my upstairs neighbor's bumper, and I opted to pay for the paint rather than use insurance.
Yeah, because
I think it's a good idea.
Well, I mean, they're going to jack your insurance up, and you're going to have to pay a deductible to get your car fixed, and the taillight's cheaper than the deductible is. So might as well just pay for the taillight.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, had the state trooper come out there, he probably wouldn't have found either one of us at fault. So I probably wouldn't even have had to do that by law, pay for it. But it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Avoid
He doesn't live far from me.
I had that happen up in New Jersey, and they wrote a no fault.
Really?
Yep.
So you paid for yours, he paid for his, and everything was good?
Pretty much. Well, I had to pay some on his, even though it was a no fault, because I had a Louisiana tag and we were in New Jersey.
Oh.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to
it. Well, he doesn't, and I was gonna let the trooper basically write the report and if he wrote a ticket or not, because we were like literally right in the middle of the road at the bank, the parking lot, right? So we were collided right in the middle. So there's not really, he went first. So I probably could have got out of it, but then I looked at it and I'm like, this guy knew that I was the honey guy, on Lower Richmond. Well, we were talking while we were waiting, and so he's like, "Oh yeah, I pass it all the time. I'm not far from where you live." I didn't want him saying, "Hey, that guy hit me from the honey place and didn't hold up to his side of the bargain," type of deal. So I was like, I'll just pay for the tail light. So I think I got off pretty cheap out of the deal, but it is what it is. Is what it is.
And honestly, like with all that's been going on, I've been looking at YouTube, and I'm not sure I want to do regular videos anymore. I mean, after 5 years, it's pretty much on repeat right by now, like which affects the quality basically. I'm just like it's basically the same thing every year over and over. So
Well, for me with the videos, I like doing them, but usually what you end up with, at least me, I'll do a video and I'll just get a bunch of snarky comments about, "Oh, well, you should have done this. Why aren't you doing this? How come this didn't happen?" Or it's just always something, right? Even it just gets frustrating. So I try to eliminate stress and frustration out of my life as much as possible, right?
yeah,
I enjoy doing it, but it's just like at this point, like today, I went through all my hives. I could have taken my camera out there in the tripod and set it up and went through all the colonies and then came back inside and edited for 3 more hours and then put up a video. And, it's just not if I had all day to just sit there and do that, then maybe that's all right. But I didn't. I had other stuff to do. Here's a comment. I'll let you guys answer this one. I haven't really run into this. What should I do if my hives are being robbed? It's the whole yard and it's crazy.
Well, reduce the entrances.
If you listen to Don the Fat Bee Man, he would say open up every single colony. And then they all go back home to protect their own colony.
My question is it the whole yard doing the robbing or the whole yard being robbed?
Yeah, that is a good question. Is it all your bees or is it outside bees robbing your colonies? Or is there any way to
what
tell?
I normally do if I've got a colony for whatever reason started getting robbed, and I will immediately close it up. I don't care what time of day it is. I'll plug it up where bees inside can't get out, bees outside can't get in. And usually I do that with a piece of screen where they can still get air. And just about almost dark when bees are all coming home and pretty much settle down, I'll go out there and pull that screen back off, let anything that wants to come out leave and go home. Anything outside that wants to go in, go in. And when it gets dark, I'll close it back up and relocate it. That's all I know to do. Now, I don't know what to do if the whole yard's being robbed.
Well, there's one thing that you can do, and it may not help once the robbing has started, but it may dissuade them from robbing. And what has happened in my yard when they start getting kind of feisty like that, I just put out a big thing of open feed, and it's the lower hanging fruit, right? Everybody can get to the open feed and not have to fight for it.
Yeah.
And it seems to stop them from going after the colonies. But
hey, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Icy Mountain. I appreciate that. It's good to be back. I went down for my grandson's first birthday, so we spent some time down there last week. I mean, I talked while I was texting back and forth with Gunline, and I remember it seems like only yesterday that I was waiting on him to be born, and already he's a year old. It's like, wow, crazy.
Yeah, time flies by. My nephew is almost 3. My God.
It goes fast. Keep telling my daughter he's only going to be this age today, every day he's getting smarter, getting stronger, walking, doing things. So you need to document it. What's going on?
I've got 7 grandkids. The youngest one is like 2.5, and the 2 oldest are 17 and a half ish.
You got to spread. You got graduating high school and going to school and getting ready to go to school.
Yeah, 2 boys. I had 2 boys. One of them had 3 kids. The other one had 4.
Did you guys see Flower Street's video on Zappy tablets? I know Todd did.
I would have to watch it. I hadn't watched the video today.
It looked very similar to my Ground Zero colony from last year. I mean, tons and tons of mites in the tray. So it's really one of those things that I want to say, oh, that's great. But is it really great? I mean, it's great that the mites died, right? That's awesome. What's not great is that there was that many mites in the colony. So it's like, you're like, oh, well, that did real good. Well, yeah, it did. But the bad part of that is that there was that many mites, right? But I have the same issues. Let me see. Todd, what did you do today?
Not much. Today's the last day of vacation for me, so I did a couple of things around the house. I picked up those boxes that the bees were robbing out from extracting. Then that's about it, really. It was a lazy day. It was, I don't know, 100 and whatever. Right now it's 100 degrees, so it was like 103, I think, 104. Okay, quick question about Matt's robbing issue. So I'm wondering if he put his extracted frames on top of the colony to let them clean it up, because sometimes that will cause robbing.
That's a good question.
Because
I only do that when there's a flow going on.
Yeah, I don't even do it. I let them, like, I stack them off on somewhere, you know.
Well, I find when I set them off to the side and they're wet, the bees just tear the crap out of out of the comb. I mean, they're not. It's funny. You think they would be more gentle with comb, but they rip the heck out of it. You know.
And that's the thing. I always put a pan or something to catch all that little, wax droppings, and it adds up after a while.
Said he put a wet super out about 40 yards away from the hives.
Well, that probably didn't cause a robbing, but you know what? 40 yards away is not far enough. It needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be a couple 100 yards away at least.
I don't know. I always just take them out and set them on the ground. What'd you say?
Or completely out of sight. What I do on the basswood apiary, it's like a small cove where the hives are. So I go on the outside of the cove, so it's basically C-shaped, and the hives are inside. So I go on the outside, put the supers to be robbed there. It doesn't cause robbing because it's completely out of sight and about 100 yards.
Okay. I don't know. I take them out and I just set them out and they go to it. I don't really take them a certain distance away. I just put them out there. Oh, I did find out today that I don't know if y'all remember, I was doing mite washes and I had washed a queen, and then I tried a couple times to.
I'm laughing, but that ain't funny.
And I was trying to get them to make a queen, right? So I put some eggs in there, and there was queen cells and stuff, but it wasn't successful. So I ended up just shaking them out today, and I have a bad time with queens coming back here. So,
how many mites did that queen wash?
I think that was an infinity hive anyway. So
I didn't know if you washed it by herself or I'm just joking.
No, she was in the mix for sure.
The royal treatment.
She learned how to swim for very, very brief moments.
Oh, people talking nice about my products here. I didn't even think about to stop it from Robin.
Oh yeah, never thought about that.
That's I had 3 orders of Happy Towels between yesterday and today. I bought everything's boxed up. The other ones went out after I got done with the fender bender, and then I got one here to go out right now. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. There, it's the only thing I've used for a year. I mean, solid year. Nothing else has been on the colony in that form. So I haven't lost any more than now. I gotta let you know, Joey and I talked, and I thought I found an interesting comment that he made when I was coming back from Florida, Joey, and you said that you're not a treater, right? And you said, and the reason was you found that when you treated, you lost colonies, and when you didn't treat, you lost colonies. So you thought that why throw money at it if you're going to lose colonies anyway, right? Was kind of the gist of the subject. And so my thought was very similar, right? It was like, well, I use OA, I lost colonies. I use Apivar, I lost colonies. I use Appy Tablet, I've lost colonies. Now, I can't even determine what the loss reason was, right? I know I went out today and there was a bunch of hive beetles in a lot of them. But I think I lose more due to hive beetles and wax moss than I do to Varroa. Me personally. I'm not speaking for everyone, just me personally. So, and that has really, to me, been validated over this last year of only using Appy tablets, not using OA, not using Apigard. That, do I lose colonies? Yep, but I lose colonies every year this time due to other pressures as well. So, so that is the thing is, why am I spending money on $500 vaporizers and, you know, 400? Well, what was the last time I bought Apivar was $180 for 50 of them or something like that. So, you know, it's not, and when I say 50, that's 50 strips. So that only does 20 hives. Now, if you got 70 colonies, now you're at $600 range, right? Or something. So, and we talked about this on Sunday a little. It was Saturday night. Is why? No, when was it? I don't know. We had a conversation, but it was yesterday afternoon. That's what it was. The daytime stream. That since 1988. That's right, 1988. Was that 39 years ago? Something like that. 38 years ago, 32 years. I mean, a lot of years ago that we've had varroa mites. And they've been testing and testing and trying and trying and trying. Is it any better? Is it any better than when we started?
I mean, slightly more under control, I think, but that's an opinion, not a fact.
You know, so that's one of those things to where, I mean, I don't know. I just think that, you know, they cured COVID in 6 weeks, right? And now I understand that was expedited. I understand they expedited that. But we're talking 30 plus years, right? 30 plus years of studying the varroa mite, and they can't find anything that kills it, that'll eradicate it. So are they going to? Right? I mean, that's the thing. Are they going to be able to? Or is it just something we have to deal with?
Somebody else gonna have to answer that one, not me.
But you know what I'm saying? So if
I mean, there's a whole lot
I
of
may
money
lose
being made
everything I
breakfast with-
got tomorrow, but what I got this down for, when I first got into this bee hobby, this is what I was using. And when I got up to a little, I still managed 10 with this. And I said, if I grow, something's got to happen. I said, this is killing me. And then the next year, I was up to like 20. And before the end of that year was over, I had more than that. And then it wasn't long, I had up to 40. So that's when I ended up getting all this stuff. And this thing here. Bob, what year did these come out?
What is that, Jono's?
This is the,
The Provap.
that's backwards, ain't it? Is that
No,
backwards?
No, it's showing right. Oxivap, Provap 110. That's the exact same one I've got.
Yeah. And it's nice. It made it a lot easier. It did. And I treated like it was the gospel. I was still losing colonies going and coming. But I finally just quit. I said, I'm quitting. I'm where. And when I put this mask on, stuff like that used to didn't bother me. I never was claustrophobic or anything. I've actually worked under houses where I couldn't put my nose. No comments on the nose now. I couldn't hardly put my fist from where I was working, laying on my back, working under buildings. And I'd have to lay my clines and everything right here on my chest. And none of that ever bothered me. Wearing masks on jobs sometimes, it never bothered me. But after I got into beekeeping, I don't know if it's my health because of my rheumatoid or what. I would near about suffocate using that thing. I would have to I'd get to hyperventilating. I'd have to walk slim out of the bee yard and get all that garbage off me and get some air and then come back. And I said, I got to do something different. Now, this was when they wasn't nothing but mainly Apivar and this, or that's all I knew about. And I couldn't afford the Apivar. I did that one year. But anyway, make a long story short, I finally just said, I'm going to quit and see what happens. And from that day to now, I still lose the same percentage, somewhere between 10 and 15 every year. Sometimes 10, on a bad year, maybe 15% percentage. And all that isn't due to mites now, because I don't know what a lot of it's due to, maybe a felon queen or whatever,
Right.
One didn't come back or something like that. But my percentage hadn't changed. And I've been in this since 2015. I'm not advocating not treating.
Right. It's a
wouldn't
how
do
I
that.
do, not a how to do. Right?
Exactly.
Also, location might help you manage without treatments. There might be some like I've heard stories like of people treating and getting horrible results, and others not treating and getting great results. Location, my guess has a big part to play in it, but
it could be.
But
now,
if
I know Randy McCaffrey doesn't treat, right?
Right,
No,
but he says he's in a location. He does mite washes. He checks for mites, and he just has low mite counts in his area. He's fortunate with that. And I got one still in the box. I've never used it, but I would rather say I'm more of a beekeeper like Mike Berry. I love him to death. That's where me and him do different beekeeping. That's about the only thing he and I do different. Is he treats and I don't. Now, Jeff Harchoff, I'm somewhere in between those two. Jeff don't do anything. I do some, but Jeff doesn't do any treatment either. But he loses a lot. He loses what he said the other day, 30%. I think that's what he loses. That's a big difference between 30% loss and a 15. But
Double.
I know some guys in they live a little bit. They're about 2 hours north of me, and they're treatment free. And they do brood breaks. That's about the biggest exercise they do is brood breaks. They do all their splits, breaking down with nukes. Now they do have a certain genetic that they're using. This look at there, Bob.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you, buddy.
But anyway, what I was about to say about them, I try to make it quick. They do all their splits and mating nukes and everything early in the year, as early as he can. He's doing grafts. He starts doing grafting in mid-January.
Wow.
Not that he's using those, but he'll go ahead and start grafting. And as soon as he sees the opportunity, he'll go ahead and start making splits, and he'll start putting cells in a bunch of mating nukes. He tries to get all his mating done before all these other beekeepers, because he's around commercial guys. He'll try to get all that done before they put all their queens and queen cells from nobody knows where. When they start bringing theirs in, he's done with all his mating. And then in September, he'll start brood breaking. He'll start splitting everything again. And he does what we've talked about on some of these chats. He'll lock the queen up for so many days just to get that brood break. He'll split and lock the queen up and get that brood break, and then turn her loose again after so many days, 21 days or whatever it is. But they're treatment free. I don't do none of that. I don't do any of that.
Well, I'm trying to, I'm not going to say I'm going to go 100% treatment free. I hate to go that far, but I would like for the bees to be more self-sufficient, right? And if they're dying out, let's look at it this way. If the bees are dying out because of mites, let's just say mites, because we don't know. If they're dying out because of mites, the ones that survive that didn't die out from mites, those are the colonies you want to be pulling from to make your splits and stuff from anyway.
Yeah, there's always a silver lining.
So yeah, so are you propping up colonies that maybe would have died by just continuously knocking the mites down? Because when I say, obviously we don't want the mites, right? That's not what I'm saying here. But what I am saying is, what are we doing exactly? We're knocking mites down, but we're not eradicating them. We're not stopping the bees from getting them. We're just doing it for, if we hit them with oxalic acid for 2 days, right? 2 days is the time that's effective in the colony. And after that, it's not. So the next, starting day 3, there's mites coming back in the colony already. So have you really done anything, especially during a flow? I mean, not really.
When I first started, this was what you use per brood box.
Yeah.
What is that, 1 teaspoon or whatever?
Yep.
Now what you got to have 4 of these or 2
4 grams, yeah, 4 grams.
Yeah. So for some reason,
which is illegal, by the way. It's off label,
for
but
some reason, what I used to do ain't enough. So science is always changing.
They change faster than the legalese, right?
You know what won't change is genetics. And so, case in point, I have, a year ago, this past June, I bought 5 queens VSH queens from Mark Miller. They made it over here. They were virgins. He shipped them over. I had them made it out here, and I lost a couple, not because of mites. One was a swarm, but I know the ants got the others. I have 2 left. One of them it was August. It was August 10th. It washed to 0, and that queen is a red dot queen. It's a year and a half. Well, it's not a year and a half, but it's over a year old, and that hive is going like crazy. The other one washed too. So, there is something to that, and I think it was even Bob Binney that said really the only way that we're ever going to get ahead of the problem is to have bees that have genetics to handle themselves.
Right. They've got to be able to adapt to the situation.
What about Rodney D. Oliver's research? I knew he managed to get a few years back the resistance to up to 50%, but has he made any progress? I don't check his site regularly. From what I know, his queen rearing program for resistance is pretty aggressive.
Let me answer Alex first, but I want to answer Darren too. So what I've heard is some of the research he has at his yard, he's washing ones and zeros and zeros and zeros and a one, whatever. But I've heard from others that they have more mites than that from those queens, and that's all I'm going to say about that, because it could be that the queens that this person has just missed a line. They were off by one generation, and maybe didn't get the full genetic trait. But I really think there's something to it. Now, Darren asked about the brood break, and if you guys have seen Richard Knoll's videos and how he does it, I really want to try that. There's cages that he uses that he cuts into his foundations. They fit inside the boundaries of the end bars, and they hang from the top bars. And the whole cage is like a little mini queen excluder. It's probably I don't know, 4. You know what I'm talking about, Joey. It's probably like 4 or 5 inches tall.
I used to make them about 4x4, 6x4.
Yeah, and so he keeps them in there for 24 days, I think. And then at that point, every single mite that's in the colony is wide open for oxalic acid vaporization. They have nowhere to hide. So I really, and even if you don't do anything, there are so many cells with those mites to jump into. When they jump in those cells and they crowd themselves, they will starve before the bee is able to emerge. So you're really knocking down numbers for a while, even if you don't do anything.
That's one of the theories the guy in Hasburg uses. That's one of his theories.
I looked up that website that Richard has on that video, and I think they're like €3.50, €3.50, but that's like 4 something US. But the thing that's going to kill you is shipping. I don't even know how much it would cost to ship, but I guarantee it's going to be expensive from Italy.
Now they make a cage. It's actually an excluder cage.
Mm-hmm.
I think they use them in queen brooder boxes or whatever. You put the whole frame in there and you exclude her to that one frame.
Yeah, but that's an awful lot of equipment that you got to store away.
They're awful expensive.
Yeah, and these little queen cages, you could throw in a box and put it away somewhere,
Vincent says, do you think if we stop treating bees, the bee would become mite resistant on their own?
Eventually, yeah. I think that was one of the big problems in the beginning. They went at it with throwing chemicals at these mites, and it worked for a while, but the mites, got around it. I think what was it? What was Apis ceranae in Asia? They have no problems with varroa because the bees themselves figured out what to do.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure they could, but the thing is, do they get wiped out before that happens, right?
yeah, that's the thing.
That's the struggle. I mean, I'm just saying that in 30 years, I mean, think in 30 years, the technology changes that have happened with cell phones and computers and everything else, and they can't figure out how to kill a mite.
The problem also is there's an incentive to keep the bees sick so you can keep selling the treatment.
It's very hard to kill an insect that lives on an insect.
Yeah,
that's true.
it's the viruses that kill your bees, actually.
Not the mite, right?
Well, they do, but not the numbers that the virus does.
Yeah, it's what they spread.
Now, what the guy in Hattiesburg now, as far as all the labor of brood breaks and the labor of treating, that's not even a thing he worries about. The reason he does the brood breaks is his advertisement is all his bees are chemical free, no kind of additive to his hives, his honey, or anything like that. That's his trademark, and it's not about the labor really. That's the other part of the answer to that question that was asked earlier.
Yeah, it's I think I hate to feel, I mean, it just feels like we're just shooting in the dark on this stuff. Right now, I know there's people out there doing their scientific studies and all and trying to figure it out, but don't get it twisted. Those schools are making money.
Oh yeah,
they're getting paid grant money to run this research. And guess what? When the research runs out, so does the grant money. So if they cure it, they can't tap that anymore. I mean, not to be a conspiracy theorist on it, but you know what I mean? It's not like that, but it just seems like in 30 years, they
have learned a lot of good information. I had to hand that to them over the years because I guess to say for the most part, some of them has grown and they're not too big to say, well, we were wrong 5 years ago. This is what we're seeing now,
Right.
And it's like real estate. It's location also. So some of us just get lucky.
Well, I see the comments. I see the comments, like, hey, it's just a money game. It is. It's all about money. Everything is about money. It's just like cancer. Well, if they found a cure for cancer, how many oncologists would be out of a job? How many hospitals that have oncology units would be out of a job? It's just money. Unfortunately, it's that's the way it is.
Well,
being sick is a business.
So my thing is,
you kind of have to weed all that out, don't you, to figure out what you want to actually treat with.
Well, exactly. So here's the thing. I mean, that's kind of my point to this whole rabbit hole we're going down is when I started beekeeping, before I had bees, I had a Provap. Before my nukes got here, I had a Provap because they said, oh, you're going to have to treat for mites. And I'm like, oh, okay, what is this mite you speak of? Right? So you're sitting there thinking, I've spent $500 on this mite vaporizer that's going to keep my bees alive. But dun dun dun, dun no, you know,
all the research is going to eliminating, and I think it was Alex that said this, and I've thought about it for a while. But I think all the research is going to eliminate or try to find a way to eliminate Varroa, period. That's not the answer. The answer is to eliminate the viruses that are hurting the bees. So
Right.
how do you do that? Well, that's part of the genetic trait. But if you pump up their immune system, some way, somehow, there's something out there that can do that to help the bees tackle whatever viruses that they're getting bombarded with.
Yeah, if you could cure the viruses, eradicate the viruses the mite transmits, they would just become a minor pest.
Exactly, and that Apis, whatever the one
Serrano is in Japan, right?
No, Asia, Southeast Asia, whichever one that is. It starts with a C, but that's what I guarantee you. That's what that bee did. It protects itself from the viruses that Varroa has, because they still have Varroa there. It's not Varroa. Varroa didn't disappear. And then now, of course, that's where Tropicalops is coming out of. So,
well, and that's one of the things that, like with the Appy tablet, that that kind of intrigued me, because it was the way it was explained from the owner of the company is that when the bees ingest it, the mites that are on the bees are taking that in through the fat body of the bee, which is what kills the mite. So it was an inside out treatment instead of a topical type of treatment on top of the bees. Yeah. And so that intrigued me about it. And to this point, it's worked well. I mean,
so I asked him about the ingredients too. And I referenced a study that's been out since COVID. I guess it just kind of snuck in under the radar. But it was a study, and people can say, oh, and roll their eyes, whatever. But it was a study on essential oils. There are 8 proven essential oils that provided a 100% kill on Varroa within 24 hours. They did a study, and 8 of them were identified. I started naming names of those to Mehmet, and he's like, whoa, you're talking about my recipe. And I said, okay, I just wanted to see if you got some of these in there. He says, yeah, I know what you're talking about. So, but yeah, I mean, these are things that kill Varroa 100% within 24 hours. I mean, that's significant. But you don't hear a lot about that. And it's because there's no money in essential oils. There isn't. And listen to this. I'm going to blow some minds tonight. Every essential oil, every synthetic chemical known to man mimics something in nature. So essential oils have more of a nature side to them, obviously, than a synthetic side. So everything that nature makes, the drugs that we take or the drugs that we put on these bees, they're mimicked. They mimic what nature has. So, and in this study, I think they found something. They got onto something.
So we're gonna get haters. Haters talk about this non-treatment stuff, and I'm not against. Like I fall like Joseph there. It's like, hey, they're your bees. Do what you want to do. Doesn't bother me at all, right? The thing is that, boy, there's a lot of treatments.
Yeah,
there's a lot of treatments out there, and Charlie uses about 75% of them,
except for Apiguard.
Yeah.
But it works for him, so that's fine, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
You do what works for you, yeah.
It's
just. I mean, right? Saturday I pulled out the Apiguard or Apivar strips, and then Monday, I guess. Let's see, what was that? Was that yesterday? Yeah. Formic Pro went in, because of the weather conditions here right now, which are perfect.
Yeah, it was a nice day out today. It was a really nice
It was 70, 75 degrees tops today, and right now it's 59 degrees or 60 degrees. So it's perfect, you know. They were bearding pretty heavy yesterday, but by this morning I went out there, very little bearding, some, but not much. So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
Right?
know. That's my treatment program. I mean, I'm not crazy about the Aprivar. You know, I will have to say that's probably not as effective as what it used to be.
Oh,
I would like to go to ApriGuard, but
I still have a little bit of Apivar in my from the last time I used it in a Ziploc bag in the kitchen, which would have been last spring, not this spring, but a year ago spring.
well, I mean, you know, when it comes like ApriGuard, I've told oh, I don't know, like Brad and different ones down in Louisiana, where I'd be using ApriGuard and Formic Pro in the middle of the winter, in their winter, because their winter is 70 degrees.
Yeah, I realize it has ingredients that are actively against pests in the hive. I'll say that. I understand. Yeah, so I mean, that is the only thing that I've used, is all I'm saying. Natural, organic treatment, we'll say that.
Some of us are forced to.
Yeah. Well, you know, it just depends what stream you're on whether or not they're really sticky on what the law says, and it only if it's the law that applies to something they don't use, right? If it's something they use, then the law can go out the window. You know, they can use 4 grams of oxalic acid a box because that's what they use, and it doesn't matter that 1 or 2 is the legal usage. So it just depends. But yes, I fully understand. I know it kills mites. I am aware. The company, however, says it's a supplement, so that's what I am beholden to say. It's a supplement.
Just has the nasty effect on the mice. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's a side effect.
Coincidence.
It's an unfortunate side effect. Let's just say it that way.
I love that side effect about it.
That's a good political way of saying
it. Well, you know, if I say too much, people turn me into the bee police and I lose accounts and stuff like that. So I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful with it. That's all I'm saying. Oh, so here's the thing. Todd, we should make this a thing for real.
What's up?
So Todd is contemplating going up to the Manitoba Beekeepers Association meeting in February.
Yep.
We should make it a thing. We should have a lot of people from the YouTube channel. Brian at Flower Street that likes to travel. Steve from Daisy's Honey, who travels like I see more traveling than beekeeping from him on his posts. And go up to the Manitoba Beekeepers Association meeting at the last weekend in February?
February 21st and 22nd, a Friday and a Saturday.
21st and 22nd.
Yeah. But you know what? So I was talking to Brad, and I didn't know this about Canada. And I don't have a DUI, but if you've been convicted of a crime, or let's say you have a DUI, they won't let you in the country. You fly into Winnipeg, and they'll fly you right back out. I never knew that. I was like, wow.
Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate that, sir.
Well, Todd, years ago, we went to Canada, Niagara Falls. That was our main objective. The kids were real little, and we did 2 days. We went the first day, and we went through the gates to Canada. They asked us where we were from, told them Louisiana. Said, do you have anybody that you're related to in Canada? No, we're just going to Niagara Falls. Okay, go ahead. So we spent all day there. The next day we went through, that guy asked 20 questions, I bet, but he asked where we were headed, where we were from, do we have anything in the car, do we have any weapons, we carrying any kind of certain fruits, do you know anybody in Canada? And everything was no. When he asked, do you know anybody in Canada? And I said no. He said, well, you don't have any reason to stay then, do you? I said, no, sir. He said, go ahead. But it was a lot different between the two guys. And that was back late 80s, probably.
Wow.
He asked me 20, 25 questions.
Wow.
I was kind of scared.
Hey, if you ever come to California, if you're like driving into California from, well, I know for sure it's Arizona, but I know every other entry. They ask you if you have fruit in your car, say no.
Yeah.
Even if you got a bag of apples in the trunk, just say no.
Yeah.
Because then if you say yes, they'll tear your car apart.
We had stopped at a fruit stand headed to California a couple of years ago, and we bought some fruit of different stuff. It wasn't fruit, it was more vegetables. There was something we had, but might have been tomatoes. But we'd already told the lady where we were going, was going to the redwood forest. And something we had, I think it was tomatoes. She said, if you're going today into California, you can't have them.
Yeah.
I think it was tomatoes. But anyway, whatever it was, she got just a couple of them where we could eat with sandwiches down the road. But we made sure that we didn't have anything.
Yeah. Those people man, you got any type of food or fruit. Yeah, they'll take it. Yeah. They have a big dumpster on the side, and it's just, you could see all the flies coming out of it because they throw fruit in it all day long.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was tomatoes. Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I think that's
Mark
the fruit we had in the truck.
Having a little bit of connection issues. Yep, there he goes. Doug says they can't get in the States if they have DUI either. I don't know. They didn't ask me that when I went across the border. They want to know why you're there. Why
that
are you?
Makes no sense. I mean, we let God knows who coming in this country. Pedophiles and this and that. I mean,
Doug, just crawl under the fence. You'll be fine.
Swim across the moat.
They'll probably fly you to a port of entry.
Give you a cell phone and say, "Where do you?"
Give you a cell phone and $4,000 in food stamps, and there you go.
Here you go.
Give you some free rent. They'll put you up at a school in New York.
Yeah,
kick the kids out for a while.
You could visit on the taxpayer dime. You could vacation here for a couple of weeks on zero money.
We're going to lose people talking politics. So.
I know. Stop that, Mr. Ross. You stop that.
And besides, tomatoes in Canada are potatoes. I mean, apples in Canada are potatoes.
Yeah.
Remember the video we watched?
Well,
the minority leader holding up his bag of potatoes, and he kept saying,
know that tomatoes and potatoes are in the same family of plants?
Who? What?
Yeah, but when someone keeps referring to potatoes, their bag of potatoes costing them $10, and it's a bag of apples. On the video, it's the minority government leader.
Yeah, he grabbed the wrong crop. Bag of apples. And
called the wrong crop.
One grows in the ground, the other one grows on a tree. So he wasn't too far off.
Well, that's true. Charlie, what'd you do today, man?
Yeah, DC has it right. They're both
just
family.
Just worked, sawing logs and lumber, and waited on a few people, and that's about it.
Just a regular old day. Check any bees today or no?
No. I went out there and just looked to see whether they were bearding. Yesterday, there were some hives that were like cover on the front, the day, since it was cool last night and cool today, I'll say 90%, 95% of them are back to normal. And all that stuff. So
Is the apple of the ground.
Yeah, pomme de terre or patate.
I've heard of horse apples on the ground. Joey knows what a horse apple is.
That's the little green ones, huh?
Yeah, the little green ones.
green fruits.
The ones that come out of the rear end of the horse that you find on the ground. Horse apples.
Okay, well, there's also the Osage orange. It's called, I think, horse apple. It's like a very strange green fruit.
Let me see. Tom is the potato of my eye. That's what Melissa said. The potato of my eye. So yeah, we'll see how this job thing works out. At this point, I'm kind of ready to go back at it, but
where did you say you had an interview with? Did you say?
Well, I don't know if they call it Bimbo where you're at. Sarah Lee Baking Company. Sarah Lee.
Oh.
So I used to work for Durst Baking Company or Nature's Own Flowers Foods. And so we'll see if how it goes. It's an independent distributor, but it's a bread route, which it's not an old man's game, but this particular route only has 2 stops on it, a Food Lion and a Walmart Supercenter. So shouldn't be that bad. So as long as my old heart and body hold out, it's gonna suck because the hours.
I told somebody today, they said something about somebody was looking for a job, and they said the dollar store said they're hiring. They said, he won't go there. I said, if I was looking for a job, that's where I'd go. Everything is inside. Everything is inside unless you got to run out and grab some buggies or give somebody some propane. It's all in the air conditioner. That's all to do.
Roy must know. He said bread salesmen are a tough breed. It's not, and it doesn't sound like it would be a physical job because it's bread, right? It's not, wouldn't be that bad. However, yeah, 1 pound or 1 loaf of bread is like a pound and a half or something like that, but you're hauling like 200 of them in at a time in a stack, right? So you're not doing 1 loaf at a time. So, and the job typically starts around 2 in the morning to go load the trucks up. You get to the store Walmart when it opens at 5:30. You work the store, then you leave and go to the next store and to the next store and to the next store. But this one only has 2 stores, so it's not terrible.
My father-in-law, he's dead and gone now, but he was a carpenter by trade for years. But before that, he worked a bread truck when he was a younger man.
Yep.
And he said when he'd go to those stores where a lot of women were in there in the morning when he was loading the fresh bread, he would take the older bread that he just picked up from another store and throw on the manifold of that van he was in.
Warm it up.
It would warm that bread up, and he would bring it in first. He said, fresh bread, it's still warm. And them ladies in there would go to grabbing it.
Well, that's I used to do something similar, but not like that. So in the wintertime, when the bread's in the back of the truck, it gets hard, right? In the summertime, it does just that. The heat inside the bag expands out, and it gets kind of soft, and it's when you're putting it on the shelf, and their ladies are always looking, what's the freshest one? Look, this one's still warm. You know, it just came out of the back of a 115-degree truck in the back.
You know what I could never get used to or figure out was the color code on those stupid.
Every company's different.
Yeah,
it used when I first started in the bread business 25 years ago. It was we had to pick up bread like every 3rd day. We were picking up the bread, right? So it'd stay on the shelf about 3 days. Now all of the companies, thanks to I don't know, what do they call it, the stuff that makes stuff last longer in products, whatever, it just now I think they have, like, some companies have, it'll sit on the shelf for a week, up to a week. Now the idea is that you're not putting more bread. You can only put so much bread in the shelf, so you're not going to order more than what's going to be rotated through in that time, right? So every time you go in, you lift it up, put it underneath. So if you ever want fresh bread, get it from the bottom. Pull it from the bottom. Underneath, the bread man gets pissed off. I get pissed off because the bread all falls over. But the freshest bread is the one on the bottom. Always is, because they're rotating
That's
it up.
the way I do milk. I always pull 2 or 3 out. And
I make
that
my
back
own.
one. Newer date on it.
Well, with that, I mean, but we'll do the Sara Lee cakes, the Sara Lee bread. They also do the Takis brand chips, so I guess that'll be a thing that's going to have to be done. But yes, preservatives. But I think there's a certain chemical or something they put in this stuff to make it last longer, right? It is a preservative. I just can't remember the name of it.
I hope there's no Taki lovers on here, but we have a big children's hospital here. It's I think the second biggest one in the state. Anyway, for a while they had problems, kids coming in with appendix bursting
From eating Takis?
It was the Takis. It was the hot Takis, and then some of the hotter chips. When they would eat it, we'd go through their intestines. At the corner of the intestine, that's where the whatchamacallit, I just said it. It went right out of my head. Appendix is, well, there's a little hole. And when you're crunching and eating those chips, you make a paste. When you swallow it, for some reason, the Takis were getting stuck at the entrance to the appendix. And there was already food at the bottom of the appendix that couldn't get out, so it was rotting. And then that's how your appendix bursts. And they blamed it on the Takis. They figured out that all the kids, that the thing they had in common was they ate hot Takis. Each and every one of them, for I think it was like 6 months, 7 months they did this. They finally figured it out.
Ain't that weird?
Jeez. Both my girls had their appendix taken out, but they never had hot Takis. So.
What's a hot Taki?
Oh, that's pretty. Solar wax melter.
That was my first run.
Was it solar or lunar?
Solar. It was sunshiny all day when that one went through.
Did you put the paper towel over the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works really good. One step.
Hey, but you know what? You hold wax.
This was the next day. It was a little cloudy.
Oh.
Wasn't too bad.
I used the 1 5-gallon. Well, actually, these are 1-gallon bucket. The cheesecloth strainer.
It was cloudy all day that day.
It wasn't as hot that day either. You can tell because it slowly dripped in there, right?
Yeah. But I use those paint strainers and I lay them down across the tray that I used, and I let all of the gunk gather up on that cheesecloth, and that's my filter. That the wax will go through that stuff when it's hot enough, and so I don't use paper towels or anything. But if I used to use paper towels, and I'd use them in my smoker, and my smoker would go all day.
Good idea.
Smoker, what's that?
Or a campfire lighter too. You could throw them in you can make a nice campfire.
I heard somebody the other day say they used to take the slump gum that wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't necessarily cleaned real good. It's still a little waxy. They would put that in their smoker.
Oh yeah,
use it.
Yeah.
What's that do to the inside of the smoker?
What?
Huh?
Anything? Does it mess up the inside of the smoker at all?
You just take a torch, melt it out at the end of the year. That's what I do. I scrape the propolis off of my hive tools every once in a while. I scrape it right in my smoker. Couldn't hurt.
What's going on with my?
Well, propolis is a lot of tree sap, so
Yeah.
if it's pine, it should burn well.
I just think they might like the smell. I don't know. But at the end of the year, I turn my smoker upside down and I take a torch and I melt all the creosote out of it.
So if you're
Yeah,
not,
I use
Yeah.
pine needles. I have to do that pretty regularly.
Yeah. I've
so
got
if
it.
you're not sure what Takis are,
Oh yeah,
this is Takis.
yeah. They're chips.
They're rolled tortilla chips.
Yeah.
My oldest granddaughter loves those things. I don't know how she eats them.
How old is she?
17.
Oh, okay. She's the Children's Hospital figured that these kids were between the ages of 9 and 12 that were getting the appendicitis from them. I don't.
Oh, they sell them in Quebec, apparently. I don't know why I got. Oh, I did go to the .ca site. There you go.
Hmm. Slum gum is bear bait? I didn't know that.
Kind of makes sense. It's made from casings of cocoons. Smell of brood probably attracts bears. Bears usually go for hives for the protein from the brood, not the honey. At least not as much.
I was just looking at some photos from our local bee club, and there's like no young people in there at all. Not that I'm young, but it's kind of like this. Bunch of gray hairs sitting around talking bees, and no hairs. Gray hairs and no hairs.
I don't have gray hair at all.
Mine, when I always keep my hair shaved, but when it's not shaved, it's gray around the sides. So,
Well, I'm starting to get gray hair too. Like if I let my beard grow, yeah.
Back when I used to didn't shave my head, I used to tell everybody I wasn't bald. I just had a wide part.
a wide part.
Yeah.
Well, now it's so wide, it's 360.
Charlie, you're quiet tonight.
He's
You know.
he's munching on that popcorn.
He's killing the live streams. He was live last night, live Friday night.
Live every night.
Friday night, yeah. Last night was Bill's show. I simulcast that for him. Helped him out.
I gotta subscribe to his channel so I know when he's going.
Yeah, he was trying to get into the No Life Beekeepers thing and all. And I told him about that, and then he got to looking at the picture. Oh, I know this guy and this guy. I met this guy. I said, yeah, most of them, you've seen him at, like Ricky Rourke. I said, yeah, he was a vendor out at Expo. So,
Hey, you know who I need to ask that to next time he comes on? Philip. Does the Boy Scouts not offer some kind of badge? They used to have badges, right? Do they not do a badge for beekeeping?
they used to, they got rid of it, and now everybody's, since beekeeping is kind of a popular thing, they've been trying to get them to bring it back.
They bring it back, man. You could probably get a bunch of scouts to come help you work your bees. Boy Scouts.
Yeah, more trouble than it's worth, I guess.
Brian, do they have a popcorn flavor? Charlie's thinking about those Takis.
I don't sound too great to me. I'm not sure.
They're basically a Dorito, but it's rolled up.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at Keith
Larimore?
Spielman. He was talking about switchgrass pellets from Fred Dunn's Bee Club.
Yeah.
And they burn better than, I guess, hardwood pellets or softwood pellets. I don't know.
I thought about getting some, trying them.
What is switchgrass pellets? I've heard of switchgrass, but never heard about pellets.
They probably
Yeah.
could just make them into some, compress it, and then make them into
Is
pellets.
is it a grass, or is it more of a like a stalk plant they grind up?
I can't really remember.
Well, I was watching Benny, about where they got that smoker where it's lit all day. Well, yeah, he gets it fired up in the bottom end, then he throws a big handful of hardwood pellets in there and put some more pine straw or whatever on top of that. And, of course, it's the big smoker, and it will go all day. The pellets, once you get them fired up, they'll last for quite a long time.
I used pellets, and man, that smoke would just choke the crap out of me.
Use what kind of pellets?
I just got them at the hardware store. Just hardwood. But I know somebody that gets like about 30 to 40 burlap sacks every month, and they've got a barn full of burlap. So I've got an endless supply of it right now.
So that's what you're using, burlap?
Now I'm using burlap. Yeah, I haven't used it in years. I would do the pine. And
do you find it hard to get it lit?
No. It does take a little more than like pine needles, because I use those too. But I'll use a little bit of newspaper at the bottom, and then the whole roll will be as wide as the can, right? So I'll put it in there, but I won't push it all the way down. I'll start hitting the bellows and making that paper flare up into the burlap, and then I'll push it down a little more and just work it like that for a few minutes, and then boom, it's going.
I started to copy Randy McCaffrey one time years ago. Y'all probably seen it. Years ago, he did a video on different kind of smoker fuels, and he talked about pine straws, his go-to, and leaves that he'd use, and just several different kinds. He talked about the burlap, and then he got to talking about denim, and he said denim works real good, and he lit the denim and put it in there and had it all lit. He said it works good in a pinch. And then the next picture was a kind of off in a distance, him working a beehive with one of his blue jean leg cut slam out, like he'd had to use it in a pinch. It was one leg.
Just cut his pants.
I've used denim. It works great.
Any problem with Mark's talking about using baler twine? The only problem with that is nobody that I know around here uses thistle baler twine anymore. It's all plastic. Even we've been using plastic products for the last 10 or 15 years.
I don't think I've only seen plastic twine. I've never seen.
Well, when I first started baling, when I was a kid, we always bought thistle, but it got to the point where it was thick and thin and all that stuff. So we went to the blue plastic. There ain't no pine trees around here, DC.
I got plenty of them. Come get them.
And then it's like down south, you go down to Georgia, they talk about, we call up here, it's pine needles. Down there, they talking about pine straw. It's a totally different animal. Down there,
different kind of pine tree too, I think.
Yeah, well, them darn things are like pencils. They're like little teeny sticks.
Yeah,
but the little community that I'm from is actually called Pine, and that's how it got its name. It used to have some of the biggest pine trees in the area.
What happened to them? Cut them all down?
I mean, 3 or 4 people would take 3 or 4 people to reach around them. Well, we're getting a good rain here.
That tropical storm hit y'all, or
no?
Let's see, I don't know if we're supposed to get any rain. Tell you what, it felt good today. Felt like it was in the mid 70s. I know it was a little bit hotter than that, but like tomorrow's supposed to be a high of 80. low of 69. So that means most of the days it's going to be mid 70s. Perfect for me to work bees.
But you'll be out on the bread truck.
No, not tomorrow.
So do you have any kind of flow going by?
Not really. Not really. We've got, when I was coming back from Florida, I was starting to see some goldenrod along the sides of the road, but I think we're still probably a couple weeks away before getting a good goldenrod. So I'm probably going to throw some more feed out there tomorrow and do that. I've got to go out to the out yard. I haven't done anything to them. I put Appy tablets on them, and that's it. Checked them a couple times to make sure they're flying, and I haven't messed with them. Just let them do their thing, and hopefully they found that cotton. If they found the cotton, it might be a good thing.
Dug air, that's a pretty good idea. You use carbureted cardboard and roll it up to about the size of a cigar.
That chokes me to death.
The cardboard. It burns too quick, though. Cardboard, it'll light, but then it's
got pellets around it, so that sets the pellets on fire. The problem of it is, I mean, sometimes you want a little bit of smoke, and then you're by the time you get the damn smoker up and running good,
I could have worked 5 colonies already.
Yeah. I tell you one thing, I got a half a notion. If they ever come down on price on that there vaporizer smoker, I'd buy that sucker.
The vapor or whatever you call
it. Vape smoker, as I call it. They're too damn pricey.
How much are those things?
About $300 for them damn things.
Everything's like that. So I think in the next several days, I'm going to be announcing who the winner was of the.
You see Lee's comment?
Whose?
Lee.
Don't use Mickey D's napkins. Why? Why do you say that? That's funny. What's going on, Todd?
Matt. Yeah.
Here's Doug. Hey, Doug.
There's Matt. He's trying to relocate a hive, and it's too heavy to lift. You got to get another person, Matt, and put ratchet straps around it and lift that sucker somehow. Or use a hand truck. That was what I would do. If you were close by, I'd take the hive lifter up there.
Doug, you get all your honey pulled?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Probably got it all extracted out and barreled up already.
Yep.
How much of it did you get, Doug? Was it 40,000 pounds?
Yeah, it's probably about that, Charlie.
And you normally get about 80, right?
Well, 60 to a low of 60 and a high of 100.
Any reason why you think that you got less this year?
Oh, yeah, we had weather issues. June, if it wasn't raining, the wind was blowing so hard the bees couldn't fly. And then crops went in late here, and July come along, and the heat took the crops. Canola didn't flower very long. And then we had like a strange summer. We were trying to pull honey, and it was testing 21%. We couldn't pull when we normally do. So it was late coming in.
How did your styrofoam hives do?
And they were the second best yard for production. We'll see how they are come spring.
So they should do pretty good. I mean, I've had good luck with the license colonies.
The nice thing about them, they're ready for winter right now.
You don't have to do anything to them, right?
Don't have to do anything.
So now, does it have a styrofoam lid, or are you using a migratory cover on those? Or
I have a migratory cover and then a styrofoam lid on top of that.
to help keep the heat inside.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be good. That's what Alex, you need to try some of those.
Yeah, it's the price that's the problem.
They're not expensive in Canada. They're expensive to get them here.
Yeah, I know, but I got like $50 left from all the repairs I did on my car, so even if I wanted to, I can't really afford.
You're sitting on a gold mine. You got 1,100 pounds from last year sitting in your back room.
Yeah, I'll have some money this year once I sell it to the
They cost more than the wood, but then we don't pay anything for a wrap.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
you know, wrapping 4 hives here would be about $120 for the wraps for 4. Well, it works out to about the same.
Now, I know Brad had said with some of the styrofoam ones that he had that wax moss will chew a hole through them. So
I haven't seen that.
he had he's got some. He calls them the Swiss cheese hives because wax moss got to them and chewed holes in them. But he said they were that way when he got them. Someone gave them to him when he was getting started, and he still uses them. So they must work.
We have some old. We bought 1 or 2 styrofoam hives probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. They're still in as good a shape as they were when we bought them.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Good night, Lee. Yeah, Brad's got his bee meeting tonight, so he won't be along, he said, tonight. And he's wore out because he pulled all his honey. I said I think he said he pulled 96 boxes the day before yesterday by himself. And he said it wasn't that, but the actual part, but he had to walk to take the boxes with the lifter outside of the bear fence, right? So he said he put a bunch of miles on his feet walking them out. And then, then you have to load him in the truck. So he was a little bit beat up, sore.
Yeah, I know the feeling, and because I'm extracting 1 frame at a time to keep the bees out.
It's
1 frame.
Yeah, I take a frame, shake the bees down, move them.
Did you ever hear of a fume board?
They don't really work. I tried. There's too much bees left.
Well,
Doug
you
uses a
got a blower.
Yeah, the nozzle's too wide, so the pressure is not high enough. I'd have to heat it up and squeeze it so the.
What size one you got, or what? I got one.
I got it right here.
I use a little Walker electric leaf blower. Works fine.
Well, the bees, when they blow off, they're going to fly anyway.
That's something that ought to go.
That should work.
Yeah, but the nozzle's too wide. There's not enough air pressure to knock the bees out. So
Well,
just
taper it
the sides
down.
and squeeze it to shrink the exit nozzle.
Need a smaller tip, yeah.
As long as they're not robbing.
Why does the fume board not work?
I mean, I put. You got some. What kind of juice you putting on your fume board?
Huh?
What kind of stuff you use on your fume board?
It's called. Oh, I don't remember the name.
Bandit.
It smells like a blend of like cherry and almond. Bees really hate it, but it doesn't repel them enough.
And well, it
Are
don't
you in
repel
the
them
sun?
100%, but it'll. I don't know. I put them on mine, give them 3 or 4 minutes, and
Yeah,
they're pretty. I'll say 95% of them are out of the.
I like on the last day of extraction, I changed tactics. Really, I have a small a wagon. So what I do is take a frame, knock the bees out, and put it in empty supers with a cover. That increased the efficiency because I would only have to go to the car once every 10 frames instead of every single frames. It helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have robbing, just set your supers on the ground in the morning, pick them up in the afternoon. There won't be any bees.
Well, there's Robbie. There's a lot of rabbit.
Well,
Well-
now there probably is, right?
Yeah, no.
Anton talks about, I've heard this, where you use a torch on the tin lid, I guess, to make that fumes more powerful.
Well,
I never had to do
the fume boards are made. It's a frame of wood, some felt, and a black painted metal sheet.
Yeah, that's what I got.
It works. It just doesn't work well enough for me.
Oh,
'Cause
you
I'm
know
in an
what else?
apartment, I can't have any bees in the supers when I come back home.
Well, that's
I'm
what
wrong.
that's what we're getting at is that you fume them down, you get 95% of them out, and I always flip the darn hive up and then take that blower there and blow the snot out of it, and you get most of these out of there, and and then put
That's
a
a
bottom.
funny expression.
You like that, dude?
I do, DC. Actually, I do drive with windows open to get rid of the bees that do get in the car. It works.
We'll just put the windows down and let them blow out.
That's what I just said.
Did you?
The
I thought you had a trunk or something that you put them in.
Yeah, what I do, like I said, I switched to using the trolley, like moving one box, like filling the box right next to the hive, keeping the bees out. I use the bee repellent on the sides of the box. That works well.
Mm-hmm.
So transfer one frame at a time into an empty super, then load the box in the car.
Is that a Man Lake job, Joey?
That one actually come from Hilco.
Some kind of a sun thing on there or whatever.
Yeah. It's just that black corrugated, almost like signboard, but it's black.
Right now here, if you pulled out a frame, it would be covered with yellow jackets and bald-faced hornets. I've never seen anything like it. Just terrible right now.
well, I'm at 11 months smoke free.
Congratulations.
Who cares?
What'd you do? What'd you do? Sell your smoker?
No, well, I haven't smoked a cigarette since October of last year, right?
Well, that's
So
good.
June of
Didn't-
1986 here.
1986.
Yep.
You quit smoking in high school?
Pretty much. I used to smoke and dip skull. I quit the
I'm not
cigarettes in
nicotine
June.
free. I'm just smoke free.
Yeah, I'm so glad I dodged it. All my family used to smoke. My brothers, my mom, my dad smoked for a while. He stopped a long, long time ago. But yeah, I'm the only one in my direct family that never started smoking.
I've been smoking since I was an embryo. There's pictures of my mom pregnant with me with a glass of beer and a cigarette in her hand. I'm like, oh, thanks, Mom. You really stunted my growth. I must have been 10 foot tall and 1,000 pounds if she wouldn't have smoked.
I was working in the paper mill, and we go home at 3:30. About 2:00, we was having a coffee break in the electrician's shop, room there, and drank my coffee and I lit a cigarette. I said, I got 2 cigarettes left, one for now and one for the trip home. And being a good old fellow like he was, a guy next to me said, here you go. Here's a few to get you till you get you some more. I said, no, you don't understand. I said, this is the last 2 I own and the last 2 I'm ever going to have. I'm going to quit when I smoke this one. And I hadn't touched another one.
Yeah, now, I mean, my wife still smokes, but boy, she doesn't smoke in the house, but boy, can I tell when she smoked a cigarette. And I was just thinking, man, I smelled like that all the time. And and now it's like, yeah, I'm glad I don't. I probably have another bad odor, but it's not that, right? It's it's something else.
I was getting where when I get up in the morning, I'd want to take a good deep breath and it would hurt.
Yeah.
And about 2 or 3 months or 4. After I quit, I finally got where I could take a deep breath without choking to death.
See Matt Morris's hives that are getting just jammed full of bees on the outside of it. I don't know how you keep that hive right in the tree line like that. Mine would have so many hive beetles in it, it wouldn't even be funny.
I think that's the one that was getting robbed out.
Roy said he's having a cigar and a bourbon for the quitters.
No one likes a quitter.
Nobody likes a quitter. It's kind of like Todd quitting drinking. He just quit till the next time he started drinking.
Well, my vacation was very productive. Let's just put it that way.
It's funny.
That was my boss on the phone, so I had to cut out for a bit.
He says he lives in a swarm zone and in a flood zone. He can catch swans in traps with no problems. You find me, Mike. Drinks are on me. That's funny. Well, so yeah, I think, I don't know, depending on the job situation, maybe I'll be coming back up there. We'll have to get Doug to come down to the Manitoba Beekeepers Association meeting.
Both working to turn it into the next Navi or
Canadian Hive Life.
Yeah, Canadian Hive Life.
But I'll tell you what I really like about that conference. It's not overly big. And they have very good speakers. And because it's not overly big, they'll talk to you, right? You can talk to any of the speakers or just there hanging out. So you can, talk to the Corey Stevens and the Robin Underwoods and eat dinner with Rob Curry like I was fortunate enough to do last time. So it's one of those things to where when it gets too big, then it loses that like personal touch, right? And that's just my opinion. I mean, when you went to Hive Life, it was great show. But if I didn't already know you, like Randy McCaffrey or Mr. Ed, they weren't coming up to talk to you. You know what I mean? Maybe if I had notoriety like Charlie and you got the people that watch like on YouTube. Yeah, they'll come talk to you. But I'm talking about the speakers, right? So that was I
know Randy.
Fun thing. Yeah, Randy, and I got to go see Ian's place, so that was nice. And very, very good, man. It was just a good time. A little cold, but it didn't get really cold till the day I was leaving, so it worked out perfect.
You've never seen Canada.
Hive Life I went to, have you? The first two people I talked to was Bob and Yappy.
You talked to me and then Yappy, or Yappy then me?
No, we kind of I was walking up there and you two had just walked together shaking hands, and I walked right up there in the middle of y'all.
Oh, were we outside?
Yeah, we were still waiting for the door to open.
Yeah. Yep, that was right at the beginning. We were waiting on it to open up.
We got quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, we're old and it's late.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil says it's 3 years since he had his last cigarette, and he's been smoking since birth too. You remember back in the 70s when you'd go on a road trip with your family and your parents would be in there puffing away and the windows are all rolled up, and my dad would get mad if I rolled the window down. Roll that window up. Just secondhand smoking the whole way. When I used to smoke, we'd go on the smoke breaks and a couple of us would smoke. And if we had a friend that didn't smoke, and we'd ask him to come with us out on the smoke break. He's like, "Oh, I don't smoke." I said, "Well, then take a secondhand smoke break and just come out and hang out with us," you know. But yeah, social time. Let's see.
I couldn't wait till my daddy got down to about halfway with us. He used to buy cigarettes by the carton.
Yeah,
And
I did
if
too.
he just had one pack missing, he'd notice that missing. But once he had several missing, I could slip a pack and he'd never know it.
We used to do that too.
Yeah.
But you know, and shoot, cigarettes. And now Doug will probably say, "I remember when cigarettes were 10 cents a pack." I mean, but and the cigarettes were. I remember when they were like 75 cents, and then they went to $1, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh man, cigarettes are gonna be $2. I'm gonna quit smoking when they get to $2." Well, it hit $2, and I kept smoking. Oh, when it gets to $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, I'm gonna quit. Still didn't.
I'll tell you what I was smoking when I quit. I was buying Winston's with the filters because you couldn't get a filterless Winston.
Right.
I was buying the Winston's and I'd smoke it. I mean, I'd tear the filter off of it and smoke it like a camel.
Woo.
With a filterless. That's how bad I was about smoking.
That's hardcore there.
Yeah.
Brian says, "I don't smoke cigarettes." Well, he's in Colorado, so we know what you're smoking.
Yeah.
Now, Darren's asking a question about where do you one purchase clean, drawn, deep frames?
Good luck.
I don't think there's anybody out there that does that. And you might want to, if you want to clean, you want clean or new foundation. Nobody does that. Nobody purchases clean drawn frames, or nobody sells them.
Like hen's teeth.
Huh?
They're like hen's teeth.
Right. No.
Better be better comb. Nah, I wouldn't buy that stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I heard that some of the better comb was all right, but it's like down here it was people were saying that when it got warm that it would start to sag, right? It'd start to melt, basically.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Bob, how many can you have on here?
This is it right now.
This is
Why is
Mac.
someone trying to come in?
I just realized that if somebody wants to come in, I'll get out. I'll stay in the chat.
Well, we're all getting ready to get out in about 6 minutes because that'll be 2 hours.
Oh, okay. The reason I asked that, I was going to ask you earlier because when I went to go in, it said a maximum of 10 people. And I was wondering how in the world you did that when I saw the StreamYard.
I don't know. I know when we did the live yesterday at 6, they could show up in the back room. Maybe it'll hold 10 in the back room, but it won't let more than 6 be on the screen. So that
That
was
might have been what it said, and I just didn't read it right.
the thing.
Is
So
you selling any honey, Bob?
I sold a little bit today. I sold 5 pounds today. So it's like $50. It's not killing it, but I haven't had my table out there. But if the weekend's nice this weekend, I plan to have it out there. And that way I can sell some of this delicious South Carolina's most delicious creamed honey. Because it's like the only creamed honey in South Carolina that I'm aware of. So it's just keeping it cool enough.
I sold 12 quarts today and 4 1-pound bottles.
Really? You killed it then.
Yeah.
Do you do an honor box?
No, I don't really get enough traffic here for one.
I was afraid that I just didn't have honorable people to do the honor system box outside because there's people always walking up and down the road. I just feel like they would stop and like.
I thought about setting one over there by my mom's. she gets a lot of traffic. She's kind of right on the highway.
Right.
I'm over a quarter mile off the main road. People scared to come up in here.
Well, this is like a major secondary road, the one that runs in front of me. And then we've got a
Not
major
that scary, Joey.
road down the street.
Huh?
I said, you're not that scary, Joey.
Yeah. We are
Yeah,
in
but
the
he's-
south.
Yeah, but he's down there in that swamp country. There's like, what was that darn movie that they were down there in the middle of the swamp? I forget what-
I've had people pull up and I'd be on the tractor with my pistol on my side. Can I say that on here?
Yep.
Well, you just
But they didn't know what it was for. It was actually to shoot rats.
Shoot rats. I
They're like, what's his name? Oh, you dirty rat.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Well,
Who
that's
is it?
like,
Humphrey Bogart?
what was the guy that used to sell apis out there in Kentucky? Or
in Kentucky. Are you talking about Tennessee Mountain Bees? He always in his videos he always got a pistol on his.
he's always got a pistol on him. What the hell you got that for? Gonna shoot the queen or something?
Is he in bear country?
Oh, he's in the mountains or out in Tennessee.
Up here, if they see it, they'll take it away from you.
Really?
It's next to impossible. Well, you can't buy one up here anymore.
Maybe that's what I need to bring up to Canada with me, just a truckload of guns, as long as they don't inspect it.
I don't think you make it very far across the border.
You might be in the pokey for a while.
Yeah, but it'd be Canadian pokey. I mean, how hard could it be?
I mean, you
What was
could
that?
bring airsoft guns. My brother bought a few last time I was in the US, but
Airsoft?
yeah, nothing real.
What was that? About 5 years ago, a New York cop had drove up to Canada and asked him where the place was where he could store his weapon while he went to Canada, and he got locked up.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Well,
about 5 years ago.
Every year, there's a few Americans, mostly heading to Alaska or something, just passing through. They get nailed.
He wasn't even trying to cross the border with his weapon. He actually acknowledged he had it. He thought they would have an armory or something where he could store it.
I always got one
think
within
they were telling
reach.
you got to go back. You can't cross. He was
Yeah.
in that neutral
Dusty,
zone.
but I got one within reach right here.
Yeah, no, they'll ask you if you have one to declare, and if you declare, they'll turn you around. If you don't, and they go look for it,
Yeah.
like going to the Crowbar Hotel for a while.
But see, that might have been the real deal, and he was just telling it a different way.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
guys,
talk about contraband real quick. I know you want to lead, Bob. I just read this in the news late this afternoon. The sheriff's department here in Fresno County did a regular traffic stop, and they suspected that the driver of the car, the passengers, weren't licensed and some other things. I forgot the reason, but anyway, they searched the car. They found enough fentanyl in the car to kill 7.5 million people.
oh, I think that was here. Isn't that here?
Yeah, that just happened today.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it is straight up 10 o'clock, and we've been for our 2-hour break here to hang out with each other. And hopefully we can keep this going and adjust things if I need to based on if I get employed, obviously. But at any rate, we appreciate all you guys. Thanks. Let me just say special thanks to Icy Mountain Honey, Daisy, Morgan for super chatting this evening. We really appreciate it. Help keep the lights on around this place. And we'll talk to you guys on the next stream.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.